Alright guys, welcome back to the DMs. Today I'm going to solve the challenge problem from lesson number 1 on number systems, and let's just get right into it. Alright guys, let's get into this challenge problem. It looks like part A is, so the question itself is, can you write the following base 10 numbers in binary? And this is a little bit different than what I did in the instructional video, where I actually went the other way. I converted binary numbers into base 10, so now we're going to go backwards. That's the challenge. So to start, on the side here, I want to write the first couple, maybe the first 8 digits of any number in base 2. And if you'll recall, it's the 2 to the 0, 2 to the 1, 2 to the 2, 2 to the 3, 4, 2 to the 5, 2 to the 6, 2 to the 7. 2 to the 0 is just 1, 2 to the 1 is just 2, 2 squared is just 4, and if you recognize the pattern, they just double. 2 cubed is 8, so then 16, 32, 64, and 128. So those are the first 8 places in a base 2 number. So now let's look at the first question. Part A says, can you write the following base 10 numbers in binary? And we're starting with the base 10 number 13. So in order to do this, the first thing you need to do is you need to see what is the largest power of 2 that fits into the number 13. So the largest power of 2, so we're going to start over here. Obviously 128, 64, 32, 16, they don't fit into the number 13, but 8 does fit into the number 13. So what you would do if you were trying to figure out this number, this first power of 2 that fits into that number tells you how many digits the binary number needs to have. So you could throw a bunch of zeros out here, because 128 does not fit, so we'd write a 0 there. 64 doesn't fit, so we'd write a 0 there. 32 doesn't fit, we'd write a 0 there. But putting a bunch of zeros at the front end of a binary number doesn't really add any significance, so we don't even need these places. So for the number 13, we only need 4 places, because we're going to start at this 2 to the 3. So if we start at 2 to the 3, the number 8 fits into 13, so we're going to put a 1 here. It fits in 1 time, that's basically what we're telling it. Does it fit in? Yes, it does. It fits in 1 time. So now what you need to do is subtract the number 8 from 13, so you're left with 5. Right? And so now you're done with this place, you're done with this place, you're done with this place, and now you're looking at the next place down, this place, which is so this is the 2 to the 3, this is the 2 to the 2. So now we're going to look at this place. Does the number, this was 8, does the number 4 fit into the number 5? So now we're looking at this number that we subtracted 8 from the original number. Does 4 fit into 5? Yes, it does. It fits in 1 time. So now we're going to subtract 4, and we're left with 1. Now we move on to the next place. Does the number 2 fit into the number 1? No, it doesn't. 2 is greater than 1, so it doesn't fit inside of number 1, so there's a 0 here. So we subtract 0 technically and keep going, 1. And now the last one is the 2 to the 0 place, the number 1. Does the number 1 fit into the number 1? Yes, it does. It fits in 1 time. So then you end up with a 0 at the end, and you're done. So let's check. 1, 1, 0, 1. Is that the number 13? 8 plus 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13, so that's right. So we're done with A. So now let's do B, and we're going to do the exact same process. What is the number here? It's number 9. So let's go over here and look, what is the largest power that fits into the number 9? The largest power of 2 that fits in is 2 to the 3, which is the 8. So we're going to go right over here, and we know now immediately we don't care about these places. We need to start here. So if we start here, we already know that this number is going to be 4 digits again. And the number 8 is our first one. So this is our 2 to the 3. That's the number 8. That fits in 1 time. So we subtract 8 and we get 1. Now we go down to the next place. 2 squared, which is the 4's place. Does 4 fit into the number 1? No, it does not. So that's going to be a 0. And then we would subtract 0 and keep going, but that's not necessary. I mean, you can do it if you want. So back to the number 1. Now we look at the 2 to the power 1, which is the 2's place. Let me write those. 8, 4, 2. 2 to the power 1, that gives us a 2. Does 2 fit into 1? No, it doesn't. So that's going to be another 0. we subtract 0, we go back to the number 1, and then lastly, 2 to the 0 is 1. Does 1 fit into 1? Yes, it does, 1 time. Subtract 1, we end up with 0, we're done. So now let's check. 8 plus 1 is 9, the number was 9, so that's done. So let's move on to another page and we'll do the next two parts of the challenge problem. Let's do another color too. So let's write those guys out again just so that you have them at the top of the screen. 128, 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, 1. And let's look at C. This marker is not great, so I'm going to switch. 37. So which of these numbers fits into 37? The largest number that fits into 37 is 32, so now we know that our number is going to be 6 digits, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because we're starting with the number 32. 37 minus 32 is 5. So if you recognize the pattern here, 32 fits into 37, so we have a 1 here in the 32's place. Let me write these out. 8, 4, 2, 1. The 16 obviously doesn't fit into the number 5, so that's a 0. 8 doesn't fit into the number 5, so that's a 0. 4 does fit into the number 5. And then we subtract 4. We write 1 because 4 fits into 5. Now 2 doesn't fit into the number 1, so we write a 0. And then 1 does fit into the number 1. We subtract, and we get a 1 here. So let's check. 32 plus 4 plus 1 gives me 37. So that's correct. And now we will do the last one, D, which is the number 255. So for this one, you actually need to look at one more place. We need to look at this was 2 to the 0, 2 to the 1, 2 to the 2, all the way down to 2 to the 7. We need to look at 2 to the 8 to kind of understand what's going on here. So this 128 times 2 gives us the number 256. So this is actually like a special case. You're going to see what happens here when we solve the problem. Let's go back to orange. So 256 obviously doesn't fit into 255. So we're not going to need 9 places, but we are going to need 8 places. So we're going to need all 8. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 digits, and one. I guess they're just here, so I'm not going to write them out again because I'm going to run out of room. But 128 definitely fits into the number 255. So we're going to start with the 128's place. We're going to write a 1 there, and we're going to subtract 128. If you do this in your calculator, you're going to notice that 255 minus 128 gives you 127. And now we move on to the 64s. The 64 fit into 127? Yes, it does. So that's going to be a 1. We're going to subtract 64, and we're going to get 63. Next is the 32's place. Does 32 fit into 63? Yeah, it does. Once. So we subtract 32, and we end up with 31. And we write a 1 in the 32's place. Does 16 fit into 31? Yes, it does. Once. We end up with 15. Does 8 fit into 15? Yes, it does. Subtract 8, we get 7. I'll move this up now. Right, we'll just keep going with this 7. Does 4 fit into 7? Yes, it does once. So we subtract 4 and we get 3. Does 2 fit into 3? Yes, it does. So we write 1. Subtract 2, we get a 1. And lastly, does 1 fit into 1? Yes, it does. And we end up with 0. So now this looks a little weird. It's 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So is this correct? Let's see. Well, if you put in your calculator 128 plus 64 plus 32 plus 8 plus 4 plus, oops, I missed a 16. There's a 16 in there. 128 plus 64 plus 32 plus 16 plus 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1. That will give you the number 255. So this 1111111 is correct. And yeah, that's an interesting case. But you'll notice that if we were to try to add one more to this, there's no zeros in here. So we can't add another 1. If we wanted to go to the next number, 256, it would only make sense to say we have one 256 and the rest would be zeros. So the biggest number before 256 is where all of these are 1, and then the very next thing that we would do is we would jump to the next place, the 256th place, and we would say we have 1 256 and we have 0 of everything else, and that would be the number 256. This right here is the number 255. Alright guys, hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions about how I solved the problem or any comments, just leave them in the comments below the video. Keep an eye out for my next series on fractions. I'm going to do a couple videos on how to deal with fractions, how to multiply fractions, how to simplify fractions. So those will be coming up in the next few weeks. Just keep an eye out for those, and I'll see you guys next time. Always remember, don't cheat.